What's up, guys? This is the Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is I, and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for joining me once again, my friends. I hope all is well with you. Now, guys, I want to start off by giving a great big old shout out of thank you to everyone out there who's been liking and sharing and subscribing. All the new subscribers, welcome. Thank you guys so much. Everyone who's been commenting. Of course, everybody who has been giving to the channel through the Cash App link in the pinned comment below. Everyone who has been hitting the Super Thanks feature. Thank you, because it helps to keep me motivated, guys. For years, many of you have been telling me that YouTube does not push my channel through the notifications and things like that. And, sometimes it can bring you down because I do see it happening. I just don't like to talk about it a lot. So, what you guys do in terms of give back really does help me to keep going. I hope that's a good thing for you guys. But anyway, thank you. All right, now on to the topic of the video. You guys saw the thumbnail, the title. I am wondering out loud, is the mainstream Black American audience having their Lucasfilm Star Wars The Last Jedi moment? Now, what am I talking about here? Well, for those of you out there who have been following Star Wars, a lot of us came together that way. You might understand what I'm talking about here. You might remember that when George Lucas sold Lucasfilm to Disney, a lot of us believed that there was a sharp decline in quality in what we got from the so-called sequel trilogy of the TV shows on Disney Plus. A lot of us had a problem with it. Okay, and when that happened, all right, stick with me, guys, because I'm going to relate this to what's going on with this whole good times kerfuffle. So what ended up happening was a lot of us were not pleased with what Disney did with Lucasfilm and with Star Wars, and we were vocal about that. Now, instead of taking it as constructive criticism, Disney Lucasfilm pushed back and lashed out against the fans with furious anger, and they called us all types of terrible names like racists and misogynists and ignorant and all types of things. And they specifically wanted to zero in on angry white men. Now, where did that leave the rest of us, like the black fans and things like that? Well, it left us out in limbo somewhere, as they didn't even acknowledge our displeasure of it because they were actively trying to hide behind so-called marginalized groups. And so they sold it by telling everybody that we are pro-diversity. We care about the blacks in the audience, or the gays, or the women. And the problems that these angry white men have with what we're doing is that we put black characters in this. So the conversation ended with that. You are just hating because you're some racists. So you hate John Boyega, you hate Kelly Marie Tran, you hate Moses Ingram, you hate Daisy Ridley. They said all of this stuff, but they never answered for the people who legitimately had a problem with the fact that we felt like it was disrespectful to the original vision of what Star Wars was supposed to be. The original vision of George Lucas. There were continuity problems. There were integrity problems. And of course, they ignored the true diversity of their audience because they wanted to zero in on the so-called angry white men. And unfortunately, too many of us in the diversified audience played into that game. And so we fought out our battles over social media. We bought into it, and we ignored voices like the Gospel According to Mark with a C, and Demogeny, and Fatal J, and Abu Nas, and Lord Callis, and Lorena Creole. It's like we just ignored all of the so-called black voices who also had a problem with what they were doing creatively because they wanted to stick to that narrative. So fast forward to what we see with Good Times, tying it in there. It's almost the same thing, because literally what the problem was with Star Wars is we felt that it was disrespectful to the original Star Wars. The continuity problems, the integrity problems, the legacy problems. And so you have this thing going on with Good Times. We all saw the trailer that dropped last week, and a lot of us have major problems with this. I can see it all across the board. But we are starting already to see signs. We're starting to get the feeling, or I'm getting the feeling, of deja vu, as we have heard from one of the producers, maybe the stars. I'm not sure what capacity she serves in, but comedic actress Yvette Nicole Brown has sounded off on social media regarding the pushback that this show is getting, and it feels all too familiar. Tell me if you agree with me, okay? These are some of the things that Yvette Nicole Brown wrote in response to the criticisms against this new reimagined version of Good Times. She says, "This version of hashtag Good Times is edgier and more irreverent than the good times of our childhood, but it's still a show about family, fighting the system, and working to make things better, despite where you start out in the world. That 100% lines up with my values." So as you can see, Yvette Nicole Brown is taking the position that as long as she agrees with it, everything is right with the world, and we should not be criticizing it because it 100% lines up with her values. Now, what could her values be? If you look at Yvette Nicole Brown's Twitter page or X page, you will see that Yvette Nicole Brown is a card-carrying member of the American Society of Magical Liberals. All right, you will see a lot of Trump derangement syndrome. You'll see a lot of retweets from Mark Hamill, which speaks volumes in itself. And you can see a lot of excuse making for the underachievement of black people. I believe she calls Candace Owens Auntie Ruckus. So that alone will tell you where her values are coming from. So this is what we have to look forward to with this reimagining of Good Times. She goes on to say, "It's called Good Times because it was championed by the Norman Lear. He was excited to update the story and use the freedom of animation to point out what still isn't fair and equitable for black folks. This is what we do with the show." Okay. Norman Lear. All right, now, when I first spoke about this, I said that he was the creator of Good Times. I was rightfully corrected that the actual creator of Good Times was Mike Evans. Okay, Mike Evans was also the original Lionel on The Jeffersons. He was also in All in the Family. He played Lionel Jefferson, the son, first. So Norman Lear is trying to point out what still isn't fair and equitable for black folks. Norman Lear was a 101-year-old white Jewish man, I believe. Okay, so when it comes to what isn't fair and equitable for black folks, that might be up for debate. You might want to talk to some actual black folks about that who have an open mind, unlike, obviously, Yvette Nicole Brown. As a matter of fact, the stars of Good Times, the original show, John Amos, who played the father, James Evans, and Esther Roll, who played the mother, Florida Evans, were constantly battling it out with Norman Lear and the other creative forces behind the show because they wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to devolve into a minstrel show. They knew they were walking a very, very fine line. So for them to put Norman Lear's name on this and say this is what he approves of, to me kind of feels like a slap in the face after the fact, like he's getting the last laugh because he lived the longest. Although John Amos is still alive, but he doesn't have creative control over this, unfortunately. So, moving on to what else she has to say. "Let me clarify how this page works for those who have forgotten. This isn't an op-ed repository nor the complaint box. Hot takes are for your page. Post your think pieces there. Nobody's forcing you to watch something you don't want to watch. Just don't watch. Solved." Now, of course, she's going into that usual just don't watch it thing, which of course is a no-brainer. But the thing about it is, Yvette Nicole Brown, is that you're on X, you're on Twitter, social media, and you know what happens on social media? People comment because, go figure, there's a comment section. So people are always going to say what they feel about certain things, especially what they're paying money for, because this atrocity is on Netflix. This is a subscription service. So the customers of Netflix would have the right to say about how they feel about the programming on Netflix. Of course, you don't have a problem with that as long as it's going one way. If people were praising this and saying that it's the best thing under the sun, you would have no problem with it. You'll accept the awards, the accolades, all of that. But for some reason, you're getting emotional because people are saying, I don't like what I'm seeing in this trailer. So going on to what she has to say. I've spent, oh, here it is. She spins into her, the color purple thing here. "I've spent my whole life shining a light on the things that matter and calling out the systems that keep a boot on our necks. At times, I take parts in projects that do the same, even if they are irreverent or risky. Coming for me as if that's wrong is a fool's errand." If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No, she didn't say that part. But basically what she's saying is that I'm on a mission from God. I'm doing what I'm called to do. And you guys should have nothing to say about that. Now, what she talks about keeping the boot on our necks, this was actually part of the write-up for this show that you saw on Netflix. So I can only assume that Yvette Nicole wrote that pathetic write-up on Netflix as well, because she's talking about the boot on our necks, likening herself to, of course, George Floyd. All right. So once again, what she's indulging in is the narrative of victimhood. So obviously this is what we have to look forward to in this show, because I think what it is that what she's saying is once you watch the show, you're going to see that there's an underlying message, which I never had any doubt about, because you see that in the trailer. The problem is the message as well. Like, what kind of message are we putting out there? Well, I think I already told you that Yvette Nicole Brown is a member of the Magical Society of Magical, or no, the American Society of Magical Liberals. I got to get that put on a shirt so I can actually get it straight in my own mind. But anyway, going forward, she says, you don't have to like the projects I choose, agree with my decision to do them, or support me now or going forward. But your displeasure will not stop me from doing the projects I think have merit, despite them being tough to swallow for some at first. Feel better? She says. Now, once again, she is implying at first is the operative term here. She's implying that once most people see the show, we'll see where they're going with this. All right. She's saying that you shouldn't object to a trailer. But Yvette Nicole Brown, that's what trailers are. Trailers are testers. They're teasers. They put them out there so people can say to themselves what they think about this. All right. Once again, you don't have a problem if somebody says, ha ha, that looks great. But for some reason, you cry foul. Like, we could litter your comment section with nothing but praise. And I guarantee you, she would never say, it's just a trailer, you have to wait till you see the show. But just because people are saying, I don't know about this don't look good, that trailer was offensive. Now she's saying, how dare you? You haven't even watched the show. Well, don't show the fucking trailer then. It's a weird way, the way they sold this show, by diving full body into existing stereotypes. But we don't have the right to say anything about it, according to her. All right, now she wraps it up by saying, now get out there and write your screeds about a show you've just seen a 2-minute trailer for. Go off as if you know the fullness of the journey or the message we're trying to share about the systemic barriers we, capital W, capital E, still face no matter our station in life. Hashtag good times indeed. So once again, she's saying, if when you see the show, you're going to see that they are dedicated to showing the systemic barriers that we still face, no matter what our station in life. Once again, implying the NWC, the nigger wake-up call. This is what it's all about, reminding us all the time that we have a boot on our necks. And somehow these people think that that's healthy, to always teach our kids that you have a boot on your neck. To always teach them that no matter what you do, she said, no matter what our station in life is, no matter what your station in life, you'll always be a nigga. I am so tired of this narrative. So tired. And I keep speaking out about this, how they want to keep us in the same position all the time, always in the projects. Okay, there's nothing wrong with being in the projects. There's something wrong with staying in the projects. You can't stay there for something like 3, 4, 5 generations. That is wrong. The violence, the negativity, the counterproductiveness that you see there is something you should always want to get away from. You should always want to do better. And you should always, every parent's objective is for their kids to do better than what they did. Now, these parents failed over the course of about 3 and 4 generations. The Evans family, still stuck in the ghetto, in the same apartment, still talking shit to one another. And somehow we think because you're going to inject a little message of victimhood into it, somehow this makes it worthwhile. Yvette Nicole Brown, kiss my whole ass with this. There's no more. I have no more patience for this anymore. No more market for this anymore. I don't care if it's on the show. I don't care if it's on in the music, whatever. There has to be a balance. And these days, you're not really seeing much of that. So anyway, guys, I want you to to take your turn now to tell me what you think about Yvette Nicole Brown's defensive stance that she's taking. Once again, just like what we experienced with The Last Jedi and Lucasfilm. At that time, they tried to attack the audience by saying they were angry white men. I wonder what they're going to blame this on, considering that it's for black people by black people. What are you going to say? Are you still going to blame the angry white men? You're still going to blame white supremacy when this show gets criticized or when it flops or anything like that? What are you going to do? It should be very interesting to see how they go forward with the criticism of this show. Or could it be that we have moved past that? We've moved out of the 70s and into the new millennium. Not so new anymore. I mean, we've been here for a while, guys. You think at this point we would expect more or demand more from our entertainment, but it just seems like they are determined to keep things the same. It was a mission statement in that write-up on Netflix when they said the more things change, the more they stay the same. That's a mission statement. That's a threat. And it's up to each one of us to push back against that, to say we deserve better. And even if we don't deserve better, our kids deserve better than to see these images. Why do we keep perpetuating this? We should show them something different. That should be the mission. Oh, but it's real. There are real people in the ghetto. Okay, we all know that. There's real people in the ghetto. There's real people in the projects. But those people need to see that they can do better as well. So what's wrong with showing them that? Our entertainment system is there to program. It's there to condition. So why not condition them to do something positive? The whole world would be better off for it. But that's my take on this. That's my view. You can get in the comment section and let me know what you think about Yvette Nicole Brown's statements and her stance. Feels like deja vu to me, but let me know. All right. As always, you can like, you can share, you can subscribe. Thank you. And thank you for your donations to the channel. Like I said before, it really keeps me motivated. I will catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.